Isaac Newton is the father of modern physics and even invented calculus. However, most people don't realize that Isaac Newton wrote more about Bible prophecy than he did about math and physics combined. And before he died, he left a warning specifically for us living in this generation alive today. A warning that's been sealed for 300 years until now. My name is Craig Crawford. My professional background is in robotics, virtual reality, AI, 3D imaging, where I founded and ran a company for 20 years. I'm also a Bible prophecy researcher, and in 2010, my website was even mentioned by Iran's Ayatollah Khomeini during a major speech. This was just before Google shadow banned my Bible prophecy and world news website. But that's a story for another time. Today, I want to share Isaac Newton's message in his own words and show you why the year he determined might begin the prophetic climax of all human history may be 2030 and not 2060. Here's Newton's actual manuscript, written over 300 years ago, showing his year 2060 date along with the official seal. Now, let me read you just some of his words. His direct message to us, who are now living in what he called the time of the end. For Isaac Newton wrote, "Having searched after knowledge in the prophetic scriptures, I've thought myself bound to communicate it for the benefit of others." But who are the others Isaac Newton is referring to? Let's pause for just a moment. He's telling us here that as he carefully studied the Bible prophecies, he found something so momentous or stunning, he felt compelled to warn others. This is profound, because when you study Newton's writings, you find at the time he wrote this, in the 1600s and early 1700s, there was a growing expectation that the Lord's return and apocalyptic prophecies might soon take place in their days. So in response to this, Isaac Newton presented and defended his detailed biblical studies, which proved that none of the end times prophecies would or even could occur until sometime in the future, when Israel would one day be prophetically regathered back into her land as a nation, with Jerusalem reunited as her capital. And only then, soon after those two major prophetic events would take place, would all of the many end times prophecies quickly begin to follow. So when he said he felt bound to communicate these prophetic warnings to others, he was speaking to us, who are now living in that generation, which has now seen Israel regathered as a nation, with Jerusalem reunited as her capital, which were fulfilled in 1948 and 1967 after 2,500 years of waiting, exactly as Bible prophecy said would happen. And there is now a growing number of men and women who, like Newton, also feel bound to communicate these prophetic warnings for the benefit of others, so that all who will take these prophetic warnings seriously can easily avoid and escape all these things that are coming. For God says he doesn't want any to perish in the coming apocalypse. Newton then went on to write, "It was revealed to Daniel that the prophecies concerning the last times should be closed up and sealed until the time of the end. But then the wise should understand," which is taken directly from the Bible. Now, here's a key part. "And therefore, the longer they have continued in obscurity, the more hope there is that the time is at hand in which they are to be made manifest." Did you catch that? The longer the prophecies remain sealed, the more likely it is that the time has come. Newton wrote this in 1704. That was 320 years ago. The seals are now breaking. Newton was an amazing man. He even predicted the difficulties that those who take Bible prophecies seriously in this generation would face. Let's listen to what he wrote. They will call you a hot-headed fellow, a bigot, a fanatic, a heretic, and tell you the uncertainty of these interpretations and the vanity or emptiness or foolishness of attending to them. Sound familiar? Now in our day, just as Newton predicted, we find those sentiments are common towards those who are now pointing out that we are seeing many of the prophetic warning signs which the Bible and Newton warned the world would see. But here's Newton's response to those who say and think such things. If God was so angry with the children of Israel for not searching more diligently into the prophecies which he had given them to know Christ by, why should we think he will excuse us Christians for not searching into the prophecies which he has given us to know Antichrist by? Newton is saying, God held the children of Israel accountable for ignoring the almost 300 prophecies about Jesus' first coming, which he fulfilled. How much more will he hold us accountable for ignoring the more than 1,000 prophecies lovingly given to prepare the world for his second coming, including an escape prepared for all who will listen? Now we find Jesus fully confirming Newton's warning. This passage took place around the time Jesus fulfilled a most remarkable mathematical prophecy predicting the exact day when he, Messiah, would be revealed on what is now sometimes called as triumphal entry or Palm Sunday. Here, Jesus confirms Newton's warning. And I apologize for these verses being a little longer, but it's important to understand the full scope of this incredible prophecy. Now, as he, Jesus, drew near, he saw the city, Jerusalem, and wept over it, saying, if you had known, even you, the children of Israel, especially in this your day, the things that make for your peace, the exact day the prophet Daniel and the Dead Sea Scrolls predicted many years before, but now they are hidden from your eyes. For days will come upon you when your enemies will build an embankment around you, surround you and close you in on every side, and level you and your children within you to the ground. And they will not leave in you, the temple, one stone upon another, because you did not know the time of your visitation. Luke 19, 41 through 44. Thus, within that generation at 70 AD, 38 years after Jesus spoke this prophecy and was crucified, Jerusalem was besieged and brutally destroyed when Titus Vespasian, with the 5th, 10th, 12th, and 15th Roman legions, did build a Roman siege wall around Jerusalem, starving and slaughtering over 1 million Jews, and then tore down the temple stone by stone to retrieve the gold that had melted when Roman soldiers, against orders, set the temple on fire, thus leaving not one stone upon the other, exactly as Jesus Christ prophesied, because they ignored and rejected all the prophecies concerning his first coming. And now Isaac Newton says something chilling as he warns. There are greater judgments hanging over the Christians for their remissness than the Jews ever felt. Yet we find in the Bible, all of those who will take the Bible and all these prophecies seriously have nothing to fear or worry about, for God has lovingly provided a way of escape to avoid all of these things that will come to pass. In fact, that's the reason for these studies. And this is the very reason Isaac Newton felt bound to warn us so many years ago. So what else did Newton discover, and what other important details concerning his prophetic timeline did he reveal? Since Newton twice wrote the year 2060 could mark the beginning of the climax of human history as we know it, everyone quotes the year 2060 and assumes it represents our modern Gregorian calendar year. But this may be wrong, and we'll let Newton himself explain why. Isaac Newton understood something most people miss. The Bible uses a 360-day prophetic year, not our modern 365-day calendar year. Listen to what Newton wrote in his treatise on prophecy. The ancient solar years of the eastern nations consisted of 12 months, and every month of 30 days, and hence came the division of a circle into 360 degrees. Did you catch that? 360 days, 360 degrees in a circle. This isn't coincidence. It's mathematical design. Newton continues, this 360-day year seems to be used by Moses in his history of the flood, where 5 months equals 150 days, and by John in the Apocalypse, the book of Revelation, where 3.5 years, a time, times, and a half a time, 42 months, and 1,260 days are all put as equals. Now here's the key. Newton also explained the day-year principle. He wrote, for 1,260 solar years, reckoning a time for a calendar year of 360 days and a day for a solar year. So when Newton calculated his prophetic timeline using 360-day years, we have to convert that to our modern calendar using 365.25-day years. Now, here's Newton's easy-to-understand math. Isaac Newton's calculation, 2060, 360-day prophetic years. 2,060 years times 360 days equals this number of total days. Conversion. This total number of days divided by 365.25 for our modern years equals 2,030.39 modern years. The actual Gregorian calendar year, the year isn't 2060, it's 2030. 5 years from now. This isn't me guessing. This is Newton's documented methodology applied correctly. And here's what makes this urgent. As we will discuss in a later video, in 2029, just 3.5 years from now, the asteroid Apophis makes its closest approach to Earth, visible to the naked eye, closer than our satellites, which may fulfill another Bible prophecy. For Jesus prophesied in the book of Luke that there will be fearful sights and great signs from heaven sometime before the tribulation begins. Newton calculated 2030, Apophis arrives in 2029, and as we will review in a remarkable upcoming video, the convergence is beginning. But here's the part that gives me chills. Some 300 years ago, Isaac Newton wrote this to our generation, a generation whom he warned would one day in the future be alive to see Israel gathered together as a nation with Jerusalem reunited as its capital. He said, about the time of the end, a body of men will be raised up who will turn their attention to the prophecies of the Bible and insist on their literal interpretation in the midst of much clamor and opposition. Newton predicted that right before the end, people would start seriously studying Bible prophecies literally and mathematically, despite the opposition. That's exactly what's happening now. That's what this channel is about. That's why I'm here with this channel after 14 years of being shadow banned by Google. Newton said the seals would break when the time came. The time has come. For he knew that God's word and prophecy also provides a sure way of escape, providing great hope and comfort for all who will take these ancient warnings seriously. On this channel, you're going to discover some extremely interesting things, such as a stunning and timely Bible prophecy concerning Gaza, an asteroid Apophis coincidence having a mathematical probability of 1 in 357 trillion against it ever happening randomly, and a Russian-Iran alliance forming precisely as the Bible predicts, and much more. For we will also explore such things as current events converging with 2,600-year-old prophecies, and even a study digging into some fascinating Bible prophecies concerning extraterrestrial aliens, and will they ever be a threat to mankind? As with all these amazing Bible prophecy studies, I present the data and then you decide. So there you have it. Isaac Newton's warning, in his own words, correctly calculated for our modern calendar. The year isn't 2060, it's 2030, just 5 years from now. Now I know this might sound alarming, but remember, Newton also emphasized that God has provided a way to prepare and even escape all these coming events. That's what this channel is all about. In upcoming videos, we're going to dive deep into the evidence, test these prophecies against current events, and explore what this means for all of us. I invite you to join me on this journey. So subscribe, hit the like button, then remember, don't take my word for it. Don't even take Newton's word for it. But search the scriptures to see if these things are true. In closing, here's a short note on my recent book called Isaac Newton 2060, which is now available on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle formats.